So after, summarizing the story, it's time to test ourselves with the questions. So first we are going to address the NCERT questions followed by the CBSE questions. So let's start. So thinking about the text. Question number 1. All we have to fear is the fear itself. Have you ever had a fear that you have now overcome? Share your experience with your partner. So like I told you right after the summary, that after going through the story, everyone must have remembered something, some fear that, may have gripped them in their life at some given point of time. And, we all have to share one such experience. So this is again a question for you to attempt. Question number 2. Find and narrate other stories about conquest of fear and what people have said about courage. For example, you can recall Nelson Mandela's struggle for freedom, his perseverance to achieve his mission, to liberate the oppressed and the oppressor as depicted in his autobiography. The story, We Are Not Afraid to Die, which you have read in class 11th, is an apt example of how courage and optimism helped a family survive under the direst stress. So again, this is a question that is asking you to think of such stories of some novels that you may have read in your previous classes or otherwise, where you can come up with a similar situation of how people have overcome their fear, who've tried to achieve something, being courageous enough to achieve something. So any story that you've read, you can share, you can talk about that here. Now we have questions under the header, Understanding the Text. Question number 1. How does Douglas make clear to the reader the sense of panic that gripped him as he almost drowned? Describe the details that have made the description vivid. So Douglas made it clear to the reader that yes, fear had gripped him, he became tensed, he was panicking, because the moment he went inside the water and he made that plan of coming up by taking a jump. So, he tried looking here and there and he felt that he's going to come to the surface very soon. But when he opened his eyes, all he could see was water all around with that yellow color, and he started, throwing his hands in order to look for something, in order to hold something. But all that came in his hand was the water. All he could see around was water. So when he came to the surface, and then again he was drowned, so all his legs, his heart, his mind, his lungs, everything was aching, and he felt as if he was paralyzed. His body seemed to be very rigid. So that narrative, those 3 experiences of drowning, that has to be explained here. Question number 2. How did Douglas overcome his fear of water? So Douglas initially had a very, childhood memory was there when he was washed off and was buried under the wave along with his father. And that actually started the point of fear, that actually instilled the fear in the child's mind. But eventually he decided that yes, he is going to learn how to swim in the YMCA pool. But again, when that mishap happened, and then it took him so many years to actually overcome that fear, when he decided to overcome that fear. So he actually hired a swimming instructor who taught him how to swim, and he mastered the art of swimming in a couple of months. And that is how he, became a confident swimmer, and he was able to overcome his fear. Question number 3. Why does Douglas, as an adult, recount a childhood experience of terror and his conquering of it? What larger meaning does he draw from this experience? So Douglas has, as an adult, he's recalling that childhood memory because, this is very common for everyone, or, most of us who may have some bad memory, some fearful memory of our childhood, which, is actually making us stop to live, to learn something more, to explore something more. And therefore, he's drawing out on the story and telling that, if one overcomes that fear, so, it is just, the people have to be confident, they have to be, they should have a strong will that yes, they can overcome their fear. So therefore, he feels that conquering that fear can actually, make a person feel that yes, he will be able to do a lot many things in life. So therefore he is recalling that and is projecting that in this story. Now again the NCERT questions which are given probably in between the chapter. So first one, what is the misadventure that William Douglas speaks about? So the misadventure that William Douglas speaks about is when the 18-year-old muscular boy actually threw William Douglas to the deeper end of the pool, and how he had struggled at that time. He actually drowned twice in that, came up, and eventually that was a dreadful experience for him. Or the same question is in the other words, that is, what shocking experience did Douglas have at the YMCA pool? So the way I've told you, you can answer it like that, or you can even give a great description like we've done under the previous section. Question number 2. What were the series of emotions and fears that Douglas experienced when he was thrown into the pool? What plans did he make to come to the surface? Or what did Douglas feel and do when he was pushed into the swimming pool? So when Douglas was pushed into the swimming pool, he landed directly, he just felt as if he's gone to the bottom of the pool in the sitting position. So he made a plan in spite of the fact that he became really fearful and nervous and he started panicking instantly. But he made a plan that yes, the moment his feet is going to touch the bottom of the pool, the floor of the pool, he is going to leap up. That is, going to jump with all his strength, come up to the surface, lie on its back and swim back to the shallower end. Question number 3. How did this experience affect him? Or what deep meaning did this experience at the YMCA swimming pool have for Douglas? Or how did his experience at the YMCA swimming pool affect Douglas? Then third one, what did Douglas learn from his experience of almost drowning? So here, this experience actually made him really frightened with water. He stopped having that social life where everyone around him went to waterfalls, enjoyed there, went for canoeing, boating, swimming. So it had a long-lasting effect on Douglas' mind and heart. He was clearly, ignoring to be near to water. Yes, and this is the effect that it had. But eventually, he wanted to overcome it, and therefore, how he hired a swimming instructor, he learned, he practiced the art, and eventually overcame his fear. So think as you read. Question number 1. Why was Douglas determined to get over his fear of water? So Douglas was determined to get over his fear of water because he really liked, he really wanted to learn how to swim. So and for learning how to swim, he had to be in the pool. Second, how did the instructor build a swimmer out of Douglas? So the instructor, actually taught each and every skill to Douglas one by one, step by step, giving it a lot of time and a lot of practice. Initially, he put a belt across Douglas, had ropes, and using that ropes, holding that ropes, Douglas was made to practice for an hour daily for 5 days for almost 3 to 4 weeks, and he used to swim like that in the pool. Eventually he was taught how to breathe while swimming, and then when he mastered that, then he was taught how to use his legs. So in these bit by bit piece, in these piece by piece, bits by bits, he actually built the swimmer out of Douglas. Next question. Okay, you have the same question in other word also, that how did the instructor turn Douglas into a swimmer? Or how did the instructor make Douglas a good swimmer? So all the 3 questions have the same answer. Next question. How did Douglas make sure that he conquered the old terror? What was the deep fear in William Douglas' mind? How did he get over it? Or how did Douglas' experience at the YMCA pool affect him? How did he get over this effect? So this is the same question that we have done in the previous section. So you can find it there. It has been discussed. Now let's discuss the CBSE questions. First is the short answer type questions. Question number 1. Why did Douglas' mother recommend that he should learn swimming at the YMCA swimming pool? So Douglas used to stay in a place called Yakima. and there was a river close by, which was the Yakima River, which was very, very treacherous, very dangerous. And his mother knew that Douglas really wanted to learn how to swim. So she thought that, she should just remind her son that, he should go to the YMCA pool, which is much more a safer place to learn swimming, rather than going to the Yakima River, which is very dangerous, which, in which, they used to come, they used to know, and they used to come across news of many people getting drowned there. So she said that instead he should go and learn to YMCA, which is a very, very safer place to learn how to swim. Question number 2. Okay, so same question again is in other words, that is, why did Douglas prefer to go to the YMCA swimming pool to learn swimming? Or what factors made Douglas decide in favor of the YMCA pool? So all these 3 questions have the same answer. Next question. How did Douglas' introduction to the YMCA pool revive his childhood fear of water? So Douglas' introduction to the YMCA pool revived his childhood fear of water because, when he went to the YMCA pool, he just remembered that how when he was just 3 or 4 years old, he had visited a beach in California along with his father. And there he was just enjoying on the shore when suddenly a wave came and, kind of buried him under the water. So at that point, he was very much shocked. He became really fearful. So that panic, that memory was still there in his mind. So the moment he went to the YMCA pool, that particular experience, that particular emotion, that fear came rushing back to him again. Question number 3. What did Douglas experience when he went down to the bottom of the pool? So the experience that Douglas had when he went to the bottom of the pool was that he was getting afraid, he was getting panicked because he just started coming to learn how to swim, and he was still not a good swimmer. It was just been 2 or 3 days, and now he was pushed down to the deeper end, and he made a plan. He came up, again he drowned, again he came up. So that struggle was there all the time. He felt that his lungs were aching, his body was paralyzed, he was unable to breathe, he was suffocating and choking. So all that thing, that struggle, that fight of surviving, of living, actually intensified when he was inside the water and he was struggling. Next question. When Douglas realized that he was sinking, how did he plan to save himself? So when Douglas realized that he was sinking or he was drowning, he made a plan that the moment he is going to hit or his feet is going to touch the floor, the tiled floor of the swimming pool, he is going to gather all his strength and jump up, come up to the surface, lie on his back and move or swim to the shallower edge of the pool and save himself. Next question. What sort of terror seized Douglas as he went down in the water with a yellow glow? How could he feel that he was still alive? So when Douglas was pushed inside the pool, he actually made a plan. He struggled, but he came up on the surface. But the moment he came up on the surface, he opened his mouth to breathe because he was pounding, he was feeling out of breath, he was suffocating. So he swallowed water, instead of that, he swallowed water and he choked. And he again took a journey back to the bottom of the pool. And at this time again, he took a jump when he actually hit the bottom of the pool. And this time, again, his lungs were aching. His body felt as if it is paralyzed. He was unable to move. His head was throbbing with pain, and he was trying to scream out for help, but it seemed as if his voice has frozen. So all that was his fight, where everything around him was just water, and that water was having that yellow tinge, that yellow glow. So he was feeling very, very terrorized. Yes, he felt that it was only the beating of his heart, the pounding of the heart, and the throbbing in his head that reminded him that yes, he's not dead, he's still alive. Question number 7. How did Douglas get rescued when he was thrown in the pool? So Douglas got rescued when he was thrown in the pool, because the third time when he was drowning, and this time he was actually, he felt that he's lifeless, he's about to faint. So that time probably someone saved him, because the next memory that he had was that he was lying on his stomach near the pool and he was vomiting. Then he was taken to the locker room. When he felt a little better, he had gone back home. Question number 8. Which two incidents in Douglas' early life made him scared of water? So first incident is when he had visited that beach in California along with his father, where he was buried under the water. He was washed away by the water because of the wave. And second is about the experience that he had in the YMCA pool, where he was thrown in the pool by by an 18-year-old boy, and he was struggling to survive. He actually drowned in water, but he was saved. Question number 9. Mention any two long-term consequences of the drowning incident on Douglas. So what was the consequences of that YMCA incident? First, he became really fearful of water. He started avoiding being near to water. Second, he became afraid of any water activity as well. He even stopped going and enjoying even as a group. He would not go to swim, he would not go in for boating, for his fishing trips, etc. Question number 10. How did Douglas remove his residual doubts about his fear to water? So Douglas, when he learned his instructor told him that he's ready to swim. So then he realized that yes, he is a good swimmer, but he wanted to be more confident. And therefore he thought that what if, when he's alone in the pool, what if that memory, that fear haunts him back? So he decided to, go to different lakes, different shores, islands, and there, in order to remove all the tiniest bit of doubt that he had in his mind regarding the fear that he had of water, he just took, he just swam to different places, and that's when he realized that yes, he had finally overcome his fear. Now, after discussing the short answer type question, it is time for us to look at a few questions that have been asked in the previous year board examinations by CBSE under the section long answer type questions. Question number 1. I crossed to oblivion and the curtain of life fell. What was the incident which nearly killed Douglas and developed in him a strong aversion to water? So Douglas, when he was 10 or 11 years old, he visited the YMCA pool in order to learn how to swim. So he started going to the pool. It had been 2 or 3 days and he was getting comfortable, when on one such day he was waiting for others to be around so that he could jump along with them. He was still afraid to go in the pool all alone. And while he was waiting, sitting at the side of the pool, there was a young boy, muscular boy, a stronger boy than Douglas, who took him in his arms and actually threw him at the deeper end of the water. And then Douglas kind of drowned in the water. He came up again, choked the water, swallowed water. Again he drowned, and eventually, he was feeling terrorized. He was feeling as if his body is paralyzed. Fear gripped him, tension gripped him. He started panicking, and he felt as if he's going to faint. So that particular incident, which was actually could have killed him, actually developed in him the strong aversion, a strong dislike towards water. Second question. What happened at the YMCA swimming pool which instilled the fear of water in Douglas' mind? So again, this is the same question that is to be, this is the same answer actually. The language of the question is different, but the answer is the same. Question number 3. Fear is something that we must learn to overcome if we want to succeed in life. How did Douglas get over his fear of water? So this is true, Douglas also, he had 2 bad experiences, 2 bad memories that actually haunted him and developed in him the feeling of dislike towards the water, of getting fearful of water. Still, when he grew up much older, he decided that yes, he have to overcome that fear. And for that, he had actually hired an instructor who taught him how to swim. He became a good swimmer, and and he actually overcame his fear. And so therefore it is very important that even if we are fearful of something, we should at least try to overcome it, to enjoy to enjoy the other things in life. Because if we have fear, then it is restricting us, it is stopping us from doing a lot many things. But if we try to overcome it, we will become more refined, we'll become more confident. Question number 4. Douglas fully realized the truth of Roosevelt's statement, all we have to fear is the fear itself. How did this realization help him brush aside his fear and become an expert swimmer? So here Douglas is saying that this is true, that what we are fearing is the fear of death, the fear of not being able to live, the fear that yes, we are going to die. And that's exactly what happened when Douglas was about to drown in the YMCA pool, and he struggled twice. But the third time, when he accepted that yes, death is near, he is about to die, so at that time he said that when I accepted that death was here, then I did not feel any pain. In fact, everything seemed so peaceful, so quiet, and I felt good. I felt as if my mother's arms are wrapped around me. I was having a good sleep very soon. I'm going to have a good sleep very soon. So he's saying that it is only the fear of dying that is more rather than the death. But the fear is there, that is actually causing more panic, more trouble, more problem. And therefore he said that when he overcame his fear of being a swimmer with the help of his instructor, he realized the true meaning of this statement. Question number 5. The story Deep Water has made you realize that with determination and perseverance, one can accomplish the impossible. Write a paragraph in about 120 to 150 words on how a positive attitude and courage will aid you, that is, will help you to achieve success in life. So here basically you will have to talk about, this is more like a writing skills where you will have to write a short paragraph after what you feel about the central idea that yes, we do have fears in life, we may also have some bad experiences in life because of which we are fearful of many things. But how one can overcome that fear, and how our strong willpower, our determination actually can help us overcome that, and why it is important. So you have to build a one small paragraph of 120 to 150 words around this idea. Okay. Now question number 6. Justify the title Deep Water. So this story was about the water, the author who had a strong dislike towards water because of the various mishaps, various bad incidents that had happened, which had instilled that fear of water in him, and how he was actually getting drowned in all those incidents, but he was saved. And eventually he was deep in the water, deep in the pool, twice he was drowning, and then he realized that yes, he has to overcome that fear. And again, to overcome that fear, he took the help of the instructor. He actually learned, he overcame that fear in bits and pieces. Took a lot of time for that. So this justifies the title Deep Water, which actually this deep water, the deepness in the water all around, actually engulfed that fear in the author, and how he overcame that justifies the journey. In one of the important milestones, one of the important achievements in the author's life, and therefore it justifies the title Deep Water. Next question. Desire, determination and diligence lead to success. Explain the value of these qualities in the light of Douglas' experience in deep water. So desire is because even when he had bad memories or fearful memories of water, he still desired to learn to swim. So that desire was there. Determination. When the second time also he had a very near to death experience, still he took time, and he had that determination that yes, he has to learn how to swim. He has to overcome that fear. and that diligence, that the hard work, the the dedication that he had shown to actually master up each skill, actually to overcome that fear. So all these three qualities actually helped Douglas in overcoming his fear of the deep water. Question number 8. A big boy pushed Douglas into deep end of the swimming pool, which could have led to his death. Concerns regarding bullying and ragging persist in many teenage groups. Quoting examples from the text, discuss the problem of bullying and its effect on the victims. Also suggest ways to deal with this problem. So again, this is again a thing that happens that many of us may have experienced. Maybe the magnitude could have been different, but we may, even if someone may not have experienced it, they would have definitely witnessed the cases of bullying, So we need to address such cases, we need to discuss those cases, and how can we overcome this? So we can overcome this by actually channelizing the energy of children into something positive, into educating them about the importance of the correct behavior and discipline, about the ill effects, the ill consequences on the victims in case of bullying. Yes, so creating more awareness, developing more sensitivity towards this is very, very important. So with this, we've come to the end of this chapter, Deep Water, which again is related to one of the basic things, basic feeling that we may, people have experienced in their life. Deep water, fear. So again, fear, how we overcome our fears. So this is something very realistic, right? It may not be towards water, but to something else. So how we overcome the fear, or how we look into the eyes of fear and overcome it, is something that is the central idea of this story. So here I sign off, and I shall meet you next with the next story. Till then, thank you.